Yeah, let's go. It's episode 98, and we have Luis Alkmim, and he's the host of Swapping Shoes. He's a phenomenal parkour athlete and one of the brightest minds and voices in our sport. And it's always a pleasure talking to him. I was on his podcast last time we spoke, and yeah, we just wanted to run it back. I did immediately, and so he was down. We're probably going to do it again. The next time we're going at it with Max Henry, and it's just always a fun conversation to share with Luis because we're both nerds about parkour, and even though we've never met, we have so much in common and so many things that we've both thought about. So much love to him for sharing the mic with me again, and thank you guys for being a part of this, listening, etc. Check out the links. You know what to do.
Hi,
What's
hi.
up, brother?
Hey, finally,
Finally, we back.
again.
We back.
All
We
the
did it.
struggle. How long again? 1 month now?
At least. It's been at
Yeah,
least
at least
that
1 month.
long.
Yeah.
So you just had a birthday. How was that?
It was great, actually. It was very fun. My girlfriend organized a surprise party in a park, my favorite park nearby,
Oh,
and
nice.
all my friends were there, and it was like an ambush, like
Oh.
an actual ambush because they came from behind the bush, and I fired up, yeah, and it was really nice. It was very warm day too. We're flipping, and then we had food in my favorite restaurant, and now I'm in the 30 club, 30s club.
Welcome. Welcome to the 30s, my man. You're
Yeah,
doing great. It's
yes,
definitely like did it mean anything to you to change that number from 2 to 3? That first digit in your age?
yeah, I think so. I think I woke up that day like, and I had beard for the first time, had wrinkles. I was making all sorts of dad's noises like. um, I don't know. So I think I like it more than I was expecting. I was afraid maybe when I was 25, if I ever thought about it, like, oh my God, one day I'm going to be 30. It's not so far. I'm
Mm.
halfway from my 20s already. But I kind of enjoy. I think it's a beautiful number, and I'm glad that I'm 30. I'm still fit and I'm still motivated, and I have a lot of energy and have a lot of nice people around me. It's great. I'm satisfied actually. It's cool.
That's awesome to
Do,
hear, man.
do you did you feel the weight of the age? Does it bother you somehow?
I think like at the very first onset, I was like, nah. But then like after a little while, I got a little bit like, damn, like it did like help me just look at life a little bit more zoomed out. I think it didn't really like feel like weight, but it was just like, all right, the time is ticking. Like that decade is gone. But also, as I've gotten older in the 30s, it's like really, they say age is just a number, but it's also just like it's different generation to generation. What 30 meant in my mind when I was a kid, the 30-year-olds I was like seeing when I was younger, it's
Mhm.
not like the same thing anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's deep, and we're so free now, right? Also,
Yeah.
like you don't have do you have kids?
No.
No. Yeah, usually maybe the older generation, our parents' generations, when they were 30, if they didn't have kids, it would be weird.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, I think there's more of education about having kids as not like a necessity. It's not like everyone needs to have. It's okay not to have. It's okay to have them later also. And I think it's the thing of life expectancy, because I'm one of these people who say, oh, I think we're trying to live for too long until we're 90 to 100. What is the point, man? You do nothing. I feel this way sometimes. But then I think that all it means is that you live for longer, but you're also very healthy for longer also.
Yeah.
So you can, when you're 70, you can be completely like functional and independent. And when you're 80 and 90 for some people. So I think like 30 nowadays is a lot younger than 30 years ago.
I 100% agree with that. Yeah, no, I agree too that it's like you people want to make the, I would say, a mistake of like saying, well, who cares if we live older? It's just like another 5 years when you're all decrepit. And it's like, not really. Like you're saying, it's like you actually get decades of just better living if you make it like further, probably too, of just feeling more vital and
Yeah,
good to
exactly.
go.
It's not like your life is it's really bad. You're super unhealthy when you're 40, you're smoking, drinking, not sleeping well, eating crap all day, and then out of nowhere, okay, and my life's gonna be better right now. No, it takes a toll.
Yeah.
So,
It'll
so
be
it's
interesting to see how it plays out because I'm noticing that not just in parkour, obviously, like in parkour, it's so young. We don't even really know what 30 means. Like, we never really have. So we're kind of defining that in our generation for a lot of us for the first time, at least on like a big scale. Like, we've obviously had like older practitioners, but now we're starting to get the wave of people that, you know, were part of that internet expansion that are
mhm.
also now hitting their 30s, I think. And so it'll be interesting to see. When I watch the UFC, for example, I watched it last night, so it's present in my mind right now. But I also see that those athletes, like the age seems to have gone up in terms of like when people feel like they are young still in the sport.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see like,
How old is one fighter in the UFC? Like, for how long can he be really strong and fighting?
well, that's what I'm saying is it's kind of up in the air. So I think mid 30s is about as late as anyone has like stretched it and still like looked like their best or better than ever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like more the exception than the rule. Right now, I would say like early 30s is when people start to like. It kind of all depends too. It really depends. It depends like
Mm-hmm.
when you got started, like how many miles are on your body. Have you been in the sport for
Yeah.
10 years or have you been in the sport for 5 years? You, just like, Rez put out a video on this. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it. I liked it. I liked it.
A good one,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I think he references that point, which is just like it kind of depends where you started, where you landed. But in the ideal scenario, if you're looking at like the top athletes that started training from a pretty young age, and they didn't take too many damage or get in too many like really bad wars,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like you can even get into your late 30s, depending. But
I think
again,
even longer, man.
yeah, I
I think
think
it's
so. That's what I was gonna say. Is like every generation they get smarter, they train better, they
mm-hmm.
understand more. Like they're healthier beings in general. They have better nutrition and better coaching and everything else. So that bar just keeps getting pushed higher. It looks like to me.
Yeah, for sure. And I also think that maybe not in a competition level,
Mm.
a competitive level. For example, going to a speed comp now, um, like when you're 39 or 40, you cannot beat a Salgado. It's very difficult, but maybe you can still move really well and have really satisfying training sessions and find challenges and be able to look at something and work on it and for it. I think the type of training can just completely change, and it can be something less explosive, like smarter somehow,
Mm.
like some experience movement rather than explosive movement. And I feel like this is happening to me now because I'm not so interested in putting a lot of effort for jumps that I know that I can, but I really don't want to be pushing hard, getting a lot of impact.
Mm.
I prefer nowadays to do things that are a little bit more mind bending,
Mm.
that requires more, like a little bit more focus, more technique, than the big jumps. And I think that if you focus on this, you can keep moving forever. Like, just gonna change the style, and you adapt yourself. I just don't know if motivation is the hardest part. Like, for example, now I started training when I was 16, 15, yeah.
So your whole
Eh,
half your life now, officially, basically.
Half my life, yes, officially. Uh, and it's been a few times ups and downs of motivation, but I've been always motivated. But also, I accepted the parkour life, living a very cheap life, not making a lot of money, not having financial stability at all. uh, but I feel like I want this to change somehow also. And I imagine that when this is my main goal, my priority, like a family, a house, I feel like then it's gonna take a toll on my motivation. I
Yeah.
hope that doesn't happen, but I think it's kind of Inevitable, is that the word?
Inevitable, yeah.
I think it's inevitable.
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting point because it's not always that it's just the body breaks down or something, that you can't train that way or that you're going to break if you do because you're old. It's totally, that's what my experience has been as well, is like, okay, if you've been in this space for a very long time, you want to explore other areas of life and there's other things that don't longer align perfectly with, the parkour lifestyle that we kind of referenced. Obviously
Yeah.
being financially unstable, for example, does not really work that well if you're interested in having a family, for most people.
Yeah.
But and yeah, there's just certain things that you want to grow into, and so that has been fascinating, and to see how that plays into your training and your willingness to be risky and be aggressive, and also just your better understanding of like what you get out of training and why. I think for when you're a young person, you just have so much energy. It's like it almost doesn't even matter. You're just you're like going hard as you can because there's excess steam that you like have to pull the lid on. But
Yeah.
like a certain amount of wisdom changes like what you train and why. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's
I was having this talk today with a friend of mine. When I was younger, I used to say a lot, I want to go out and train. And nowadays, I feel more like going out to move or to walk around or to jump. But it's not so much the training, because I think there's a difference between training and moving.
mm,
Um, I think the training is something that is very goal attributed, like goal orientated.
mm-hmm,
Uh, and nowadays, I don't feel like I have this many crazy goals of achieving crazy challenges and making amazing videos or going to competitions, being invited to events. Is not so much my motivation. I'm more into just enjoying moving around, more of a workout somehow, a good way of having fun and staying fit, doing something that I really enjoy, really love. And when I just say moving or just say jumping around, I feel this a big weight on getting away from my shoulders. And I feel like this is gonna happen more and more now, because I'm more and more worried. I'm less and less worried about becoming a better athlete. I'm
mm,
now more focused on just enjoying the man, because we're lucky. Imagine the amount of humans who don't have passion. It's like 95% of them, maybe 98, man. You don't know, like I don't know if you consider this to yourself, but I have a passion and I feel like I found a purpose on my passion, and I'm fucking lucky, you know? So when I say I'm gonna go out and move around, it's I feel so like privileged and so unjudgmental, and yeah, and I maybe parkour can stop being my career or my life, but I'm quite sure that after I do other things, maybe if I get a normal full-time job, I'm quite sure I'm still gonna go out and move.
mm.
Maybe not train, but just move. So let's see. Can't wait.
Yeah, no, that's a wonderful sentiment where yeah, you just appreciate it, and it is like you have nothing to prove anymore. all
Yeah,
that all
yeah.
that stuff kind of fades away. So I think that's amazing. What would you be doing? I'm curious. Like, what do you see if you were gonna do like if it's not your life? Do you have any ideas on that, or is it not something you think about? Maybe.
Mhm. I worked on a lot of things during my 20s and my teenager years. Like I worked a lot in hostels because my mom owns a small guest house. So I worked for many years in hostels, and I work in restaurants also, waitering, like normal jobs. And I gotta tell you, man, I loved being a waiter. That was fun. It was really cool. I really enjoyed it.
You got double
Of course,
passion.
of course, it was weird because no, also I was lucky because I was working like 3 times a week only in the evening, so there was not a lot of load. It was just fun somehow. It would never leave me too exhausted or take too much of my time. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I think that now, like, I had a lot of ideas on things I would like to do. I thought, uh, but my main goal, if I could choose, like right now, Louis, what would you want to do with your life now?
Mm-hmm.
I would say I want to go to university. I
Ah.
really want to study, man. Fuck, I'm so upset with myself for, like, it's like regret. Is the biggest regret I have on my 20s is not um, committing to study, I guess.
Mm.
But it's also not so much of a regret because when I made that decision of dropping out college or going to the easiest high school path,
Mm-hmm.
that was the right decision
Yeah.
in that moment. And right now, my mind changed in life, and I had new experiences, and my interests changed, and I'm really into learning. And I would love to go to university, but if I go to university, I would have to work to pay my life as a student again,
Mm.
and I would have to study. So parkour, bye bye.
Yeah, because then you have, yeah, it's two things. It's like it's not just you get to go. It's like you go and you have to work to pay for it. So
Yeah.
there's going to be some sacrifice there.
And I would like to do something hard. I don't want. I
Ah.
would like to do something not only like I love philosophy, history. I love the humanities,
Oh yeah.
socials, but I think I would like to do something more scientific.
Oh, interesting. Like a math science or like what kind of
Uh, I don't know, like
physics?
neuro- neuroscience.
Neuroscience. Ooh.
Oh, imagine being a neuroscientist. How cool!
Studying that brain.
Imagine being a neuroscience scientist. Hey, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a neuroscientist.
I don't
You
know if I could.
understand? Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't know anyone, right?
I don't. I mean, I knew one person in college that was their path. You know, they were on that trajectory. I don't know if they completed it or not, but that's where they were going. But I don't know anyone. Yeah, that is a neuroscientist right now. It is crazy that there's just like people out there doing that, and I have no idea what they like really know that I don't know. You know, they speak a whole different language. They can like understand the brain. That probably influences how they can think and experience life in so many different ways.
Yeah.
But
If
I consider
parkour,
that you and I might also be neuroscientists in a way because we've studied the, you know, certainly there's things we've got out of our training that would map onto that field.
yeah,
I think
I think it can be
because
very analogical. There's a lot of things. It's just they would have different terms and research ways, but probably they haven't experienced so many different levels of feelings and of mm, reactions and brain activity, and we've been there first person, and we had to battle it in a lot of different ways, like fear or control or balance or socializing or creativity, controlling aggression, self-aggression,
mm,
feeling satisfied about something, feeling frustrated. And we know we've been through all these sentiments without having to learn the name of the hormones and what is the neurotransmitter that's
yeah.
and what's the proteins needed for this shit and stuff. Uh,
Well,
and
that's almost worrisome to me because it's like I don't really care about the hormone name or like I want to know like how it works. I want to understand how it works. I don't need to. Well, it's not that you don't need to, maybe. But do you ever think about this? Like your education. I think it's really great, by the way, that you didn't go. Like you said, that's the right decision. Because I went to school and, like, again, for me, right decision. But at the same time, I didn't know what I wanted to even study. So I just studied whatever was in front of me and that looked good. And, you know, it was kind of,
what was that?
it's still helpful. I went to the journalism schools. My degree is in journalism technically, but it's through the creative advertising track, which was it was
That's a
very
very
good.
good
Huh?
degree. That's a really good degree, and relates a little bit to what you do. You work with marketing at
Yeah, no,
the
it's
podcast.
definitely helped me be valuable in a way to society and to help, like, because everyone kind of needs that. So it's given me an option to work in a field that I'm interested in instead of having to like only do one thing. I can like work wherever I have my interest, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
that's been helpful and cool because I have like graphic design skills and things. And it was really helpful because I knew in that program that I have a different set of values, that I was never going to be like a real marketer the way that like they are training you to be, or a graphic, what is it? Just an ad agency person. Like the track that you were supposed to kind of go from there was be hired by some kind of ad agency or intern and work your way up to being like creative director, like, you
Yeah.
know, directing the commercials and the campaigns and the print ads for these various companies. And my whole problem with that was that the whole conversation, there's no conversation about why we're promoting these brands or just what's in, you know, to me, it was just like, who gives a shit what Nestle is doing or Nabisco or
Mm-hmm.
Twizzlers. Like, I mean, I'm naming all these candy things right now, but like, it just bothered me at the core that it was always just about the highest bidder. It was very, you know, commercialized, materialistic industry, and there's a lot of creative people in that industry. And to me, their talents are being more or less bastardized by just like corporate interest, and there's like no
Yeah.
artistry in it. It's just like, I mean, there's artistry in it, but it's just like to the highest bidder. And that's not a skill that I felt like I wanted to develop. Was like, okay, I just want to be able to work on whatever. I wanted a little bit of purpose to what I'm doing and like what I'm trying to understand in life. So that's when I, you know, immediately, that was when I had this fork, and it was like I could graduate and continue down this advertising path, or I could graduate. I was going to graduate either way because just felt like it was smart to do that, but
Yeah.
go down this parkour path, and that's what I chose. And so
Yeah, that's
similar
good.
to you, I didn't really drop out because I was very fortunate. Like, you want to talk about privilege, my parents like paid for my tuition, so you know
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty. That's pretty much like why, you know, I even went to college, is like it was just too good an opportunity to pass up. And but I think that if I was going to go back now, or if I had never gone, I would also have a way better idea of like what I wanted to study and how to apply myself in an educational framework, because I didn't really learn as much from the actual classes as I did just like from life during that period, you know, just
Yeah.
from growing up, being in free to like independent from my parents and things. That was like what I really learned from those years. It wasn't really like skills in marketing or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. And what would you study now then?
It's interestingly enough, I don't think that I would go to a university right now because, but if I was going to, I would probably study like philosophy, actually, like you were saying earlier. I
Yeah.
really like just thinking. Maybe I would study, um, I learn by experience is my favorite way to learn, rather. So I would want to be practicing. I would almost want to be in engagement with some kind of like understudy program. Like, I don't know what that would look like in philosophy, but
Like sociology is cool, for example.
yeah,
And
maybe.
it's something you can really put in practice every day, and you
Mm-hmm.
can learn in practice too.
Yeah, I like a lot of subjects. Psychology. I'm
Yeah, I
tr-
love psychology,
I'm
man.
still
Yeah.
interested in like spirituality, but that's partly because of my interest in psychology and like how people think and
Mhm.
evolve.
Yeah. Now you were saying about first about the journalism and marketing, and I hate this world of marketing. It's horrible. But well, here's the thing that I love so much about, for example, neuroscience or about
Mm,
learning in
tell me.
general.
Yes.
When you like when you understand marketing and when you understand how people's brains work, you understand why marketing people do things the way they do. You
Mm-hmm.
probably study this, and it's horrible. And there's this pattern to keep the road the way it is, to leave this hierarchy forever, because it's 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 so there, it's so intrinsic already in society, this hierarchy. We don't even think about it anymore, but it's there the whole time. And I love neuroscience, for example, psychology or sociology, because you can see this, like how they are playing with us the whole time, like the marketing, the advertising,
Mm.
the TV, the news, everything is on a way to keep their agenda the way it is.
Mm.
um, that's why I think I would like to do something more scientific, because it's just facts. There is very little. uh, I wouldn't want to work for Nestle making a campaign for them.
Yeah. Well, that is, and that's, and I'm not, just to play a little bit of devil's advocate, I want to hear what you think about this, because right now is actually one of those, I think it's one of these times in history where, um, I'm sure there's been other times like it, and there will be more in the future. But even with science, it's like there's enough influence sometimes in social in science, in what's studied and how it's studied and who pays for the studies, that there's even some of that leaching in. Like learning how to practice it and then also being able to practice it are still two different things. Like you could study neuroscience, but then you might never get the funding for the actual studies that you want to do in
Yeah,
some cases, right? Because it's not just in the advertising world. It's like you say, it's ubiquitous. Like this hierarchy, it's everywhere. And
mhm,
it's even in the sciences, even in the hard sciences, there's just blind spots because we won't go in those directions unless they're profitable, it seems like. So there's a lot to do, still, like
yeah.
that has like completely been ignored. And so
But then it's a little bit, it's freedom, man.
yeah.
If you know this stuff, or if you find a language to understand these social patterns, you find freedom.
Mm.
If you understand it, like the language can be like spiritualism, for example, or it can be parkour movement, or it can be science or literature. But if you find a way to understand the roles and understand the patterns, can be of course can make you overthink a lot, because you understand, you like, you know the reasons why things work like that. So maybe you try to always calculate. But on the other hand, I think it's also very freeing. You you know there is no, like you find, you have a open horizon
Mm-hmm.
forever, because you understand things. I think learning is freedom. It's more than anything else.
Yeah. I agree with you. It's really, yeah, that's like the ultimate addiction, right? Is just getting more and more perspective on like, whoa, I thought this was happening, but actually it goes deeper. There's levels to this
Mm-hmm.
game, or there's more complex patterns, or there's another higher perspective that you can get that is just even more revealing of the behaviors of people and of civilizations and things. Have you found any like models of how you like to like think about life or society that you really resonate with?
Ooh, I don't know. I gotta tell you that I think that capitalism works, but inequality is fucked. If 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 capitalism would work with equality, it would be quite perfect. But poverty is fucked. I think really, if there would be no poor people, the world would be a lot better. It's the only problem about capitalism is poor people.
Yeah.
This, except from that, it's quite nice. It's
It's they say the saying is it's the best, or excuse me, it's the worst system out there for government except for all the other ones that we've tried, right? That's what people say about capitalism, which I think is the fairest way to put it.
yeah. I think it works, but it's just, man, it's just uh, there's enough resources in the world, enough knowledge that we don't need to live in inequality.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't. We know the problems. Like we can understand why um, someone does, like I understand why I didn't do university, and I will not blame this only in the road, because I was also very lucky. Like I could have studied if I wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
if I really really wanted to. Nothing was stopping me so much, but I didn't also have the whole support, like the like a home that I grew up my whole life,
Mm.
um, parents that could pay for my study. Um, but I had everything else. I had health. I had interest, time. But I understand why I didn't study, and people know why poor people don't go to university. Why don't they fix it? You know, we know why people get addicted to drugs, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we work to fix it? Or we know why there's homeless people, but why are we doing other things, like, I don't know, creating the headphones without cables? Is that no, really, is this more important than everyone living in a better world?
Mm.
All of this inequality, capitalism, yes, yes. But if capitalism only works because of inequalities, then capitalism, no, no.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like I don't know what you think about it. Do you have thoughts about why we do it, or like how it would look if it changed to be a little bit more supportive of, just like not having people, not accepting people in poverty, not accepting certain inequalities or injustices.
I don't know, man. I have no idea. I imagine sometimes, do we need, how is the name of the chess, in the game of chess? The small ones,
The pawns.
the pawns. I think we need pawns, and the pawns, yeah, pawns. And if everyone has access to education and to resources, then the the status and the power of the queen and the king and the bishop would decrease. They would be less important. So, and we need people who will be cleaners, people who will do the dirty job.
Yeah.
So I imagine that this can be one of the reasons,
Yeah, it's interesting. We
but
don't
maybe
want
not.
people. Well, I no, what came to mind for me there was like it's just like people do want that. They want. There's like really negative things that you can see in that, which is like some people want to literally they want to be able to say like, oh, I'm better than that or that person.
Mm-hmm.
That is how they feel safe. That is how they feel validated, maybe. And obviously nobody wants to do like certain jobs that are just gross, but they become even more gross and less shared as like society has gotten into a place where we solve a lot of problems, but we also create, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's sort of on the backs of like the pawns, like you're saying. And once you're in that power position, yeah, you don't want to get taken down to pawn level. And
Yeah.
so there's always like, well, if you pawn and you get to the other side of the chessboard, you get to be a queen. But chances are you're not getting there. You know what I mean? Like, so they
Yeah.
kind of like dangle that carrot, and like society's working. And like, I agree with you that it's basically the best system that we've got so far. We just got to improve upon it. One thing that I found that I really like, even though it doesn't really offer a solution yet, but there's a theory called spiral dynamics that's super interesting that goes into like ego development of people and societies, and it offers at least a theory on like how people go from, like a warlord society where it's just like violence and, just the biggest gun at the
Mm-hmm.
whatever the gathering wins, or like whoever can outfight anyone. And then it goes into like disciplining themselves, but it becomes really religious. And then after that, it gets to this more capitalistic society where it's like, okay, we were too disciplined and too constrained by rules and religion. And so now we're going to like be more about ourselves and a little bit less about the community. And that's where the center of like American culture and most culture around the world is kind of right now, which is in this more materialistic thing. The next stage is people more start to get on board with, no, we are connected and we need to like help each other out. Basically, it has all these stages: red, blue, orange, green, yellow, and so on. And I won't go into too much detail because I think I've probably not said it that clearly before, and I need to study it more. But it's a really fascinating theory if you want to check it out.
Spiral, what is the name?
It's called Spiral Dynamics. I could send you some articles. And then there's another one called The 9 Stages of Ego Development by this woman, Suzanne, Greuter. Anyhow, they're like interesting models. And only because in my experience, I've kind of like seen myself go through these stages. I don't know. Do you look back at your life and do you feel like you've evolved like your consciousness through certain stages where you're like, oh, I became aware of this, or I was more selfish back then, but then I became more selfless.
Things like completely, man. Completely. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like my metrics, they changed so much. I think when in my early 20s or my teen years, looking back at it, I think I was blind. Like sometimes I look back at it and I'm like, I had no control of myself. I was not thinking straight almost anything. And then it's easy to realize then how much you have no free will. How much like you are just like a Play-Doh being molded by life. It's not your fault, So, and we know this. And the world knows it. The politicians know it. The scientists know it. But we still accept to mold people in a fucked up way. So just going back to that point So, and I see the cycles, man. There's so many things that I did back then that nowadays I feel repulsed with my own actions or thoughts or behaviors or desires, and not only like in one domain of life, not only, for example, in friendship or in leisure, like nightlife, for example, or relationships. I feel like it's evolving. Everything is evolving a lot, and it's a cycle. Is a big cycle of, and recycling too. But I feel also very blessed for being able to live until now without any big, like horrible things happening to my life, and being able to look at it and understand, being aware that I'm aware. And being aware that maybe I'm not as aware as I can be in 5 years, that I'm still a little bit oblivious of what exactly I am doing. I'm still just a piece of Play-Doh being molded by experiences in society. So it's crazy, man.
It is crazy. It's absolutely crazy, man. Yeah,
I think my main goal is to be a good father, man. I really want to be a good dad. I want to put a nice human in the world. Like, I think this is from what I learned, this is what I want to put. I want a good human in the world. This is the best thing I could do right now for me. It's not like I want to be a dad now. I don't have a baby fever, but I feel like it's the best thing I could do right now to myself or to the society, is to, I think I could be a good father now with the things I learned.
That's powerful. I think, is it something you and your girlfriend are talking about, or is it just something that's on your mind? No.
I'm still doing parkour for a living.
Okay? Just chill. Right. No, I think that's great though. I resonate with that. Yeah, I think that one of the things that parkour might have offered, and again, I'm going to talk a little bit in the spiral dynamics language, but
Mhm.
it was more of this evolved. If I look at the community that is parkour culture and the community, it is like the next stage in that process. Whereas society was more on this orange stage. I can look and see that the parkour community offers like this more green level is what the next stage is basically. It's just more community based. It has more values and looks more at the not more values, I guess, but different values that are more in line with the environment, protecting the environment, and helping each other out rather than just being like money based. There was always such a sort of taboo around making money in parkour because one of the things about this theory is like you actually do want to integrate all these phases. Like you want to understand and be able to practice capitalism where it's necessary and things like that, but you don't want to be out of balance and abuse it. And you also don't want to be like so against it that you don't even understand it. If you're hating or shaming on capitalism, then, or any of these stages, you would be basically not integrating that part of it. And do you know what I'm saying there?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
interestingly enough, I just think that, it's parkour and there's many other communities and things, but there's starting to be these little examples of different communities and cultures that are trying to live differently and trying to look at things a little bit more from a better perspective. And at the same time, we're going to have to integrate some of these older things. And I think there's a theory that, this is why people like Jordan Peterson, for example, has like this big presence in the global sphere right now, is because he offers a good way to look at how to integrate some of those older stages. And he also gets a lot of pushback because he's looking kind of back, at the older stages, or the younger stages, you could say, or the less evolved ones, whatever. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
But
like,
if
but
you're
he's
able
helping
to
you.
look back,
Yeah.
you understand better the future in
Exactly.
the present.
And so you look at like someone like a Tony Robbins or whatever, he's like super orange, but he's like a really healthy expression of it. He's like very just like, go, like, but then like you think about, who knows? I don't know. I'm trying to think of like even parkour examples of like someone, I don't know if you've been listening. I don't want to put Ilabaka on the spot, but I listened to Daniel Ilabaka's podcast with Flynn Disney. I needed another one. Did you listen to those?
I didn't listen to this one. No.
Well, I won't even spoil anything for you because I think it's worth re-listen before I even try to dissect and integrate that. But it's, he's another one of our heroes in this community, but he maybe even started to see a different level of perspective outside of the community, which drew him kind of away from parkour, but still further into his own path. And I think he speaks a little bit about that in that episode, like not directly, but it's just super interesting because of I think the people that are kind of drawn into parkour, they're in my view, there seems to be a lot of readiness and even eagerness to gain that awareness and keep going with whatever took them from the mainstream society into something that they felt was a little bit higher purpose or something, or higher perspective. And then that doesn't necessarily end in that one jump,
Yeah, it's very like-minded people. It's not like, I don't believe so much that it's like the chicken and the egg thing. I don't believe that parkour made people be the way they are. I feel like people chose parkour because they have similarities in their personality, and that's why the community has this special view. But do you think that the community actually has is actually really special?
What do you mean?
Like Kai Willis was saying,
Yeah. Well,
Do
we
you feel
talked
like
about it in our last episode too.
Yeah, but do you think it is the community, not the sport? Do you think the community is special compared to other ones? I have my opinion about this.
Okay.
I think it is, but um, I don't think it is that advanced. I think there's a lot that can be worked on. I think we're still a bunch of teenagers. No,
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
things.
I was gonna say yes and no. I want to hear yours. Do you want to hear mine first, or you want to tell?
No, you
Like,
say
okay.
first.
What I thought about was no. Here's no. Here's why no. I think people ultimately there's like people that are like the community that we see in parkour. There's communities that are just they have the same qualities in different
Mm-hmm.
sports or different characteristics. Like we check a lot of the same boxes as probably lots of other communities do.
Mm-hmm.
But we definitely can check our boxes in a unique way. And that's what I would say about yes is like we definitely check a certain ordering of like themes and what's important to us and values and behaviors and how we interact with each other in a unique way. And it is defined by our practice to an extent, just of
Mm-hmm.
what does it mean, and I think so that'll align us more with other disciplines where you're using just your body, maybe no apparatus, and also other disciplines where, like skateboarding and BMX, where there is sort of like that teenage, like, I want to see what I can do and just like go as hard as I can. And that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. We have some mirroring there, but like I agree with you as well that like something like that's what one of the things that I really enjoy about watching MMA and fighting is I think that their culture is also special. I just think to be able to fight is a uniquely defining characteristic of any community, and so wrestling and jiu-jitsu and
Mm-hmm.
then ultimately MMA, I think offers something to the psyche and to the type of person it creates that at least interests me more than other sports. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that we have some of the same boxes checked because for whatever reason I just have always viewed parkour as sort of a martial art, even though it has nothing to do with combat, really.
Yeah, me too, for sure. Yeah. For me, it's way closer to martial art than to athletics or
Mm-hmm.
gymnastics. Um, okay, yeah, I agree with you. This about this way of uh, checking the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me a second. I'm gonna turn on the light and
Yeah,
get
take
some
your
water.
time.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Let's all take a water break. If you're at home, get some water. Maybe a sip of coffee. Maybe a kombucha. What else do you got? Got popcorn? Pop a kernel right now. We're chilling. Big chilling.
Okay, I'm back,
He's back.
and it's so light now.
Yeah, looks
Uh,
good.
um, so my opinion is, I think that there's a lot of things, just like you said, yes and no, because I think there's a lot of things that make the community very special. The thing that I like the most is street wisdom. I love it.
What is it?
Uh, Street wisdom.
Street
That's how I
wisdom.
call it.
Oh, you're going to have to talk about that more because I want to hear what that's about.
Street wisdom is the how, as you say, I'm using your definition of parkour very much now. Thank you very much, Brandon. The parkour is the art of piloting your body through the environment. I love this,
Thank you.
and I feel like we get this street wisdom to a very high level. No, I don't understand. No, I don't believe that there can be any other discipline that makes you more ready for street than us.
Mm.
In every, like, we know textures, we know heights, we know distances, we know how to evaluate problems, we know fastest ways, not so fastest ways,
Mm.
we know how to balance really well, we can climb, we know how to use like all the body in, in a way to not being trapped. We are able to survive a zombie apocalypse.
Oh, for sure.
And and I love this very much. I also love the easiness of parkour, as it is a sport that doesn't require equipment. uh, our economy is not based on a product, which makes everyone very uh, equal. Everyone is the same.
Mm.
we when I say easiness, is like easiness. Like, I don't know the word. Anyway, you're gonna get it. I like the fact that we buy food in the supermarket and sit on the floor to eat. We don't like to make fuss in the place where we go. Usually we're really quiet. We don't leave trash around. We're very like it's just street wisdom. I love this. But
I
on the
like.
other hand,
Oh yeah, keep
hmm?
going. Keep going.
But the no part of the story is that we hate money.
Yeah.
We are not capitalism ready. Uh, there is this taboo of making money,
Mm.
and uh, and we're so into apparel and t-shirts, and I know that this is paying a lot of people's bills, but we overlooking education a lot. I think is the biggest tool of parkour and the biggest uh, income, the way of creating a economy, creating a GDP. Is that how you call it? GDP? Like
Yes, I don't
money.
know. I know what you mean. Like, yeah, income. Gross
Yeah.
domestic product is what GDP stands for. I think that might be reserved for like national
Yeah, but also imagine a
economies.
parkour
But this
GDP
is
could
Parkour
be
Nation. We're talking about the
the
Parkour
nation of parkour.
Nation GDP. Yeah, no, I love it.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I think that the parkour GDP could be a lot higher if we would uh, use more, believe more in the power of our education.
Mm.
Um, and I feel like, yeah. So this is the part that is my no. I feel like we are still in the very teenager years of
Mm.
being a structured organism. Right now, we're just messing around, jumping around, which is great, of course. But I wanted to be able to only do parkour for a living in a comfortable way without having to worry how I'm gonna pay my rent next month.
Yeah,
Without having
absolutely.
to rely on commercial work. So, except from that, yes, I think we're quite special. But
I love the way you point out the street wisdom. I like to use the word tactical when I think about those things. And I think, yeah, there's extreme tactical awareness that you get in like urban environments, especially for any zombie apocalypse scenario. And even just knowing people's behaviors. Like, you can sense when security might be coming. Or like, what's the likelihood of anyone seeing you up here and having a problem with it? And, depending on your training styles, obviously. But that's also dependent on the location of where you are and things. And sometimes, even
yeah.
what you look like and all that. So we definitely have some street wisdom. It's super cool. I like that.
And I like people say, "Oh man, parkour's." People keep saying that you do parkour this old way, the old school way of doing parkour for being efficient and to be ready. So using parkour as a tool to be strong, to be useful. But how many times in your life have you used parkour actually? How many times was it useful? Was it useful? And I gotta tell you, it's a lot of times, man. A
Yeah.
lot of times. We just don't talk about it. But for example, the other day, there was an old man going down Chaos, my favorite spot. He was taking this big cardboard box to the trash. And he had to go through these stairs with this big cardboard box, older man. And like for me, it was so simple to move
Yeah.
around the walls of chaos with the box,
Yeah.
just to put it on the trash. But for him, it's a struggle. One useful moment, for example,
Yeah.
you know, and it happens so many other times, like these little things. It doesn't mean running away from the police or catching the thief.
I've let so many
It
people
just
into their
means,
homes or into their businesses. Maybe not so many, but I've definitely done it like at least 6 or 7 times where someone is locked out of their apartment in my apartment complex. I had to like climb up and get their window propped open and climb in. Or like even the other day at work, like climb through the roof and the ceiling tiles and like or through the roof hatch to like open up someone forgot a key or something. And it's like
yeah,
the difference between paying like $200 for a locksmith or just being able to do the skills. So yeah, I
yeah.
love that. It's practical. And I like where you're going with the education, because ultimately, if at least for a while there'd be a huge boom for the GDP where everyone kind of understands that this is worth having. And then, you might arrive at a society where everyone's pretty goddamn nimble, after like, a couple of decades of that education, and it's just kind of inherent. You wouldn't really need the education anymore. It's like part of the fabric of societies that people are generally healthier, more agile. I'm sure there'd be outliers still, but it'd be interesting to see what the human race would look like if people were just, everyone was just a little bit more like on the level. They like, they could do at least their arms reach jumps,
Yeah, and climb and balance.
Yeah.
There's a lot, and we also have no idea like how for us it's so simple to walk on a handrail. Man, it's not that easy.
No, it's
like someone who never practiced parkour, or slacklining or like gymnastics, I don't know, but not very active. But even gymnastics is not that simple. It requires is a quite complex task. And when I say education, I think it's like what you said with martial arts. I feel like the main income to martial arts GDP is education too. Is all the martial arts schools that are out there. There's so many of them, and there is this perfect structure, these levels, and then you have the competitions also. But they are not the main event. That's not where the most money is going to, I guess. Maybe of course in the mainstream events with all the branding and the sponsors and the pay-per-view.
That'd actually be a really interesting question, because some of these fighters get paid, boatloads of money.
Yeah.
So I wonder how it actually compares to all the schools, because again, like there's just one-off events, and there's very few fighters that get paid that kind of like top level cash, and often it's tied with their other sponsorship opportunities. It's not just like, but sorry to cut you off. I was just like, that is interesting.
It's okay, but there's a crazy amount of schools.
Yeah.
There are martial arts schools in every neighborhood, at least one.
Oh yeah.
At least one.
There's like 3 in my like 1 mile radius here, it feels like.
Yeah, and they are sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
And they are very normalized. And I think that parkour is the same level of usefulness as martial arts. If it becomes normal to teach parkour and that kids learn parkour when they're kids, then we're set to have high level people, content creators. But it needs to be normal to teach parkour, and it needs to be normal to do parkour not on a high level of jumping rooftops, but just doing parkour as a sport to stay fit and to be able to pilot yourself in the environment easily. And I think it's something that we can work towards. My student Luca, he told me that parkour needs a rebranding, because the word parkour is already very related to crazy people jumping on rooftops and doing amazing stunts. And it is true. I say this to some people sometimes. I feel like when we got into parkour 2005, 2007, it was so much more engaging because the level was not so high. So it felt like it was possible for everyone. And nowadays, if you want to start parkour, you see what's online. You see all this, the level of people, crazy things that Don Tomato is doing. And people are like, I'm never going to do this in my life. So they don't even start. So we completely lose. We're not having the same, we're not giving the chance for education. So rebranding it would be good. Instead of calling it parkour, we call it movement or tactical movement.
Tactical movement. Human piloting.
Human piloting. Human street wisdom piloting tactical.
Oh my God. I don't know if that would be the answer. Personally, I think that I don't know that you can divorce it. Like the competition, that's tough, because that's what's weird about it. Okay, because I'm thinking, I keep comparing it to martial arts. You see a fight, you see a street fight, that's not the highest level. You're not going to see the high level fighters on the street doing like just punching people in the face. That's not going to happen. So the highest level of martial arts, there might be martial artists that just never compete, but they, because they have a certain view of the philosophy, or they don't believe in it, the same way people have a problem with capitalism and parkour. But let's just say that, forget those people right now. The best fighters in the world are on stage in a competition. Whereas with parkour, it's hard to imagine us getting to a place where the best people in the world are actually the winners of the competitions, because the competition, not that there is the best and all that, but the competition formats have not yet lent themselves to be interesting to spectators and at the same time reflective of like how people are training and what people are really like training for, and what the community finds like to be the best. So it'll be interesting to see if it ever matches up, but yeah, it's weird that like, yeah, I don't know what I was getting at there. It's just kind of like how I was just thinking, well, you like the best parkour that's just my opinion, I guess. My opinion, the best parkour you're going to see can't happen in a competition. Really, like realistically. I mean, it could, but the competition would have to be ridiculous. Like I'd have to like, I don't think, for example, just like the very fact that it's happening inside a facility that's designed for parkour.
Yeah.
It's never going to like kind of measure to the same level as what people will do on the streets. And so it's just interesting that we are limited in that way unless we take the competitions to a level that it just doesn't seem feasible in my head, where, you have some kind of like Ninja Warrior-esque series of challenges or something. But it's like on the streets, people talk about that all the time, over water or something would be really cool.
Yeah, and street skills competition, I think is could be the most accurate.
Yeah,
and not with preset challenges.
Yeah,
challenges that people make on the spot. Like you just walk around the city with all the competitors, and one say, "Okay, this is the challenge." Poof, and the others have to do it, and because also you have to be good in all these different styles.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I think about like the King of the Road series. That store kind of like did something similar in one of their recent videos, where they have like they have to do this and this challenge, but like to do them fastest. That's an interesting format. But I like what you're saying. You don't really want to prejudge or preset the challenge. But it'd be interesting to see if like you have the same spot and each people like do something over a gap or through this space. And then over like a course of like maybe an average of like 5 or 10 spaces, there's some kind of declaration of a winner. But it's just, I don't know. It's just like, it always falls apart in my head. It's like, well, it's just not going to really be the pinnacle of what we can offer.
But is it possible to say who is the best in parkour? It's not even. Never.
No.
Never gonna be, man. Because there's not even like a perfect label for what could be the best. It's not like because Salgado is the fastest in a lot of competitions, or you or Dylan, you're always like, it doesn't mean that you're better than Andy's, for example, who probably sucks in a speed comp. So there's no, it's too difficult to say like what is the best.
Yeah, you'd have to have like a matchup, and it would be kind of false. And that's like what's interesting about these belts in the UFC, for example. I mean, I'm all about the UFC today. Sorry about this.
It's okay.
But it is like, do you watch it at all?
Not so much. I'm not into fighting.
Fair play.
Never did martial arts.
Fair play. It's like interesting the timing of these belts and who becomes champion and for how long and things, because for some fighters it's just like they came at the wrong time. So the guy that could beat them was just there the time that they were there. Otherwise they would have been champion. And then other people, they come in when there's not as much competition in that division.
Mm-hmm.
And so they might have like this kind of on paper big looking title reign, but they didn't really fight as hard as somebody who never became champion. Like there's this guy that fought last night, Tony Ferguson, who he put together a 12 fight win streak with a lot of savage people in it as opponents, but he never held the belt. He had that interim belt, but partially because the timing was just off, and now he's kind of too old. He'll never really get it. Doesn't look like. But you have someone like Khabib. I mean, it's just interesting. Like even in that sport where they say, all I'm trying to say is, even in the UFC where, you're like, okay, well these people were the best. There's still lots of contention over who is really the best, and it's just kind of, the more I've watched it, the more I realize that yes, there's people that are in the conversation, which makes sense. You could put certain people in the conversation of parkour who's the best, but you could never really land on any one of them because there's just too many variables.
Yeah, too many variables, too many, man. There can be a lot of best for a lot of different variable.
Yeah.
Like the best one in drop press, as Andy's,
Yeah.
or you could say the best one in sketchy challenges could be, I don't know, like bench or so there's too many variables, and I don't think it's necessary, because as a martial art, if parkour is seen as a martial art, we're all different artists, and each one has a different style of art. And it's not like one art is better than the other one. They're just different, and it's nice that they are different. If it would all be the same, also, it's not. It would be fun. It would be weird.
No. I want to ask you about your podcast. Obviously you had a bit of a hiatus, probably from getting new internet and set up and things in your place. What are your goals going on forward with that? And like, are you excited to announce any like particular conversations, or are you continuing on like with something new? Or like, I'm just curious where you're headed with swapping shoes and the Arch Club in general.
Well, I don't actually have a big goal, super crazy goal. I want to stay consistent and keep them coming. It got to a point right now where I'm more interested in having conversations that are not so much about the personality, but more about parkour institution in a sense, because I think like we need that. We have this time before FIG wants to take parkour again to the Olympics. We are now in this break that we can finally have a parkour world federation, and FIG cannot just take parkour as gymnastics to the Olympics. And I think that like Alkmim is writing a book by accident, and you have all these guys like Scientific Bouncing on Instagram, or Robin the Coach. You have your podcast, you have Parkour EDU. There's all this good stuff happening. And I feel like it's time to put everything. I would love that Swapping Shoes is a place where you have all many important conversations together. In a sense, it's like a library of, and
a library. Sorry, you cut out. A library of what?
Of I forgot. What did I say? Library of ideas of people of this generation, and ideas, personalities, and it would be good if the Arch Club and Swapping Shoes are helping or contributing in any way, that we finally have a Parkour Earth, like this big federation, a strong one, that we create something, a strong institution for the next generation to have like more structure for their practice, or if they want to follow parkour as a career, that they have like at least someone looking out for them. They have chance to have a federation in each country, one federation that will help them with physiotherapists if needed, or a place to train, or someone like a manager that can get them sponsorships and help their athletic life. So I feel like I would love that Swapping Shoes is a platform that we can discuss these ideas to make parkour like a strong institution for 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 those who need. But for now, also, man, it's fun. I enjoy doing it. I have one coming Friday with Joel Larson
Okay.
from Kipa.
Yeah.
It was nice. Completely different generation. He's 19. He's
Yeah.
fucking sick.
Yeah.
Super active. Um, and yeah, I'm just gonna. It's always a little bit on the spot. Like I see someone on Instagram, I'm like, oh, maybe I can invite this person to Swapping Shoes. Cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. And the Arch Club, I also think that's what is the goal of Arch Club, is to create this hub of culture and community and a place filled with education, no content, good information. And I would love to have Swapping Shoes, the series on YouTube also, like a
Yeah.
10 episode series that I would go to, like to Denver. You live in Denver now, right?
I do.
Go to Denver, hang out with you for a day, train. In the meanwhile, we're talking like a podcast, but still training with Kyle, for example, filming, and same type of format of meeting someone of the community, but together with movement and video. That would be lovely.
Yeah, I love that idea.
And yeah, but there's a lot of things in the oven that we want to create, like a big event. I really want to organize a skill competition street in Lisbon, but first with preset challenges, but maybe one day without preset challenges.
Yeah.
And maybe work towards a gym. I don't know. Let's see. I have this year is the year that I'm deciding if I'm gonna keep going on parkour as a career or if I will like just take it as a hobby and get a day job and stuff. But on the meantime, I'm really motivated, like on doing the things I'm doing, the projects I'm doing now. I'm also making a video for a few months already that was supposed to come out yesterday on my birthday,
What
but
happened?
it didn't because life, too many things going on. I could not go film pretty much. I trained, but I could not go film because the video is not like a normal training video.
What is it?
It's more
Special. Well, wait. I don't want to.
I don't think I want to tell yet.
Okay.
It's not nothing. Don't take it personally, okay, Brandon?
Okay.
It's just because I don't want to say something and then it doesn't happen.
Yeah, sure.
You know.
I feel you. That's wise.
But a few people saw. I already have half filmed, a little bit more than half filmed, and it's 7 minutes long. And a few people saw it, and it's not an incredible video, but to the people that I showed, they tell me the feeling that I have of the video. They always say, "Wow, that's peaceful." That's usually the feeling.
Oh, cool. Well, I'm excited for it for sure. I'll be keeping an eye out for that.
So Swapping Shoes, video classes, and helping parkour become a more structured sport. That's my plan for my 30s, around in the sun.
Hell yeah. Yeah, man. Do you have any visions of what the future will look like more specifically with competition or with, I guess just like, when you talk to somebody like Joel Larson, what are you seeing like for the future of parkour athletes? And when you see, like, I saw this little kid the other day, I forget his handle on Instagram, but he couldn't be more than like 8, I think. And he was just ripping. So like with cool tech, I was like, oh shit, we're getting like
Asian
Asian
kid, right?
He was like
with Vans.
I forget what his name is. What is it? Did you know? He was like, I was like, oh my God, there's like the Nyjah Houston level like talent that might come up. You know what I mean? Where it's just like some kid who's just super into parkour from birth, basically. And then I'm just curious what you think about the future of what we're gonna see. And obviously with Dom Tomato doing the Kong front, that was just next level. We're starting to just kind of like see like, all right, well, just when we thought there was a cap on this, there's, you know, a fucking new domain to play in.
um, I feel like maybe it's not gonna change a lot on not on level. Level is already changing, of course, but I feel like we reached the good concepts already. Like we got good formats for competition, so skill, speeds, and style they work perfectly. I like them all. I hope that they will happen more regularly, and I hope that we will have competitions that repeat every year, like an APC. I think it's really important that we have this, and also events like For the Love Movement. Would be good to have always a strong For the Love Movement. This or the Beast Coast Jam is the biggest one in America, maybe, is it?
That might be the biggest one. I mean, there's Colorado used to have a really big jam. We haven't had it for a few years. I'm trying to think if there's other ones, but yeah. Anyhow,
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
I feel like this would be really good to keep having some regular events that happen every year and that all have different characters. For example, For the Love Movement is obviously the gym event in the Netherlands, where people go a little bit crazy doing things in the pretty much same setup every year. It changes the place, but it's kind of the same.
Yeah, I've never been, but it looks crazy. Yeah, it's always a little bit like.
Yeah, it's cool. I
Mind-blowing.
like it too. I hope it's gonna happen. I'm quite sure it will actually, but I hope that it keeps happening.
I would love to go to NAPC this year. I don't know if they're going to do it. Chances are probably not. I'm assuming, but next year hopefully they come back with the next one.
Yeah, I really like the idea of outside skill competitions. Imagine a skill competition in IMAX.
Dude,
Man, it
I
would be
love.
so dope.
Yeah.
It would be so cool.
Just have to do it under the radar, I guess, a few times because it's probably a nightmare to get the permits and things. But they did it in what was that? The Hop the Block. I don't know if they got permits for that or not, but they had that like Swedish or not Swedish. Excuse me. That was the Netherlands, the Dutch competition.
On the spot.
Yeah, own the spot. That was not Hop the Block. They were Hop the Block was that was way before that. But yeah, own the spot. That was super cool.
Yeah, I think we need skill competitions outside, man. When this happens and we have a strong one that is repeating every year, parkour is gonna get a lot of traction from the public because it can be really cool.
Well, like we have Red Bull coming back at least this year, right?
That's cool.
That's coming up soon.
In July.
Did you see the I don't even know how to pronounce it. You could probably give me a lesson on that. The most recent event?
Al Andalus.
Yeah,
the
one.
speed and style. Yeah, I saw it. I liked it. I think it was a cool. I like that they were trying to do a new format also that got put together speed and style. I don't think it didn't work. I feel like it worked quite well.
Yeah, I see potential as well in that. I think there's some tweaks open up like a little bit. I don't know. I didn't like study it, but it looked interesting to be able to mix it up and like add or subtract time from your run by doing some flips and stuff. Yeah. I'd like to see it even more open-ended almost, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I liked it. I think it just has to work more and more times and more trial and error, so they fix it.
People love the like 1v1 too, like the 2 lanes of people racing each other. Yes. That is probably the most exciting to watch, at least for most of us, even though
I think that skills competition can also be really exciting, man. I loved watching APC. Maybe for me, it was, of course, I'm into parkour. I understand a little bit the difficulty of the challenges. So it's way more interesting for me than it is for someone who doesn't practice. But I think it can be really strong. Imagine on TV, a nice skill competition outdoor, like nice lights, like the audience looking. Challenge with the water also, for example, if you fall, you're going to the water. If you don't stick, water.
Yeah, if they go to that, where was that in Hungary where a store was? That'd be a perfect place to do it. Just like
in Hamburg,
right?
Right?
Sorry. I'm getting
Yeah.
my H's mixed up. My H cities, and that's a country, Hungary. I'm an idiot, but
You're not an idiot, man. There's too many places in the road.
oh my god.
I could not name all the American places either. Different roads, different roads. Yeah, so I feel like this is gonna be good. Skills competition, speed, and of course the road chase tag. It's gonna be massive, I guess.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's gonna be even. I just don't like the course. I'm not a fan.
I'm not either. They're actually bringing a quad, I think, to Colorado, one of the World Chase Tag things, and the team here, the Apex team, and maybe others are gonna have that to practice on. And obviously, they were champions last, the American circuit.
How were they?
Yeah. So,
Nice.
but yeah, for me, like my competition days are already behind me, but with Chase Tag, I never really wanted to. It's never been that into the course and how it all like works, but that's just because of me. It's not that, obviously people are stoked on it, so I think
it's so exciting for the public.
Yeah.
So,
what is it that you don't like about it? Is it just that it's static, or that what is it?
It looks ugly, I guess, to me. I don't know. I don't know the way it looks, like all the rails. Looks dangerous also with all those bars. There's so many accidents, man.
Yeah. When you're trying to keep your eyes on something that's not your feet, like, and you're running on bars and things, like, I'm surprised actually that there weren't even more bails than I saw.
Yeah.
It's very.
But I feel like, imagine if it is even a safer obstacle setup, then people can push the level of running and moving around even to even higher, because they can put more parkour technique, they can run faster, then they can do even nicer things to the eyes. But I also understand the difficulties, because if you put, for example, solid objects, then when you're filming, you cannot see behind. There's a lot of blind spots. Also, if you're running, if you're taking part of the competition. So it's a difficult concept. But yeah, I like to watch it, but I don't want to do it. I did one tag competition last year.
Nice.
But the TV one, and it was very different because they have all these different formats of tag games. It's not only the obstacle race.
Oh, really?
They had, for example, we're running against a motorcycle.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really cool. It's like the catch, the Ashigaru guys, they're always there.
Oh, okay.
They already have 5 or 6 seasons.
I saw some of that. Yeah, I saw some of that floating around.
Yeah, it's cool. They have all these different formats of competitions, and everything is tag, and I like that.
I like the idea of having different stages, like Super Smash Bros.
Awesome.
So it's like you're playing on this level instead of this one. So you might have if it evolves that way, I think that'd be even more interesting. I like the idea of it kind of being like, oh, they're on the whatever, and this guy's really good at that. He's good at Turtle Land or whatever it is. Like, I don't know what they would call it, but yeah, we'll see, man. I'm really excited. I'm just happy to.
What do you think is gonna happen
with what
the next with the parkour road community in the next? Like, how do you feel? Do you have like a idea on how it will look like in 2050?
2050? No, I have no clue. That's way too far out.
Come on, 29 years is not that much.
What?
29 years.
29 years. It's only, almost my entire life. I really don't know what in 2050. I mean, I think it's as likely that parkour is not even a word that anyone ever says and no one does, almost, as it is like that it's like completely ubiquitous and everyone's doing it, and like some of the biggest superstars in the world are like doing parkour, and the competition format is like evolved. Because interestingly enough, okay, throwing it back to the spiral dynamics, it's like the way I see the biggest opportunity for maybe potential GDP growth and just more eyes and attention in parkour is if consciousness evolves in such a way, collectively, that we start to go, okay, you know what? I love watching UFC personally, but at the same time, I know that, these guys are getting brain trauma. It's like, it's like, okay, but it's also like we might get to a place, down the road where we just like aren't really about, punching each other and like KOing each other and making people slur their words late in their age. I mean, I think there'll probably always be a place for that kind of like animalistic intent and spirit, but it might have to evolve away from the violence. Right now, I think it's like peak violence times, and maybe it gets even worse. Like we start to, we've seen now with the success of the UFC that people are taking off the gloves and they're doing bare knuckle fights, and we have YouTube fighters and things. But it might like taper off, and then there'll be more space, and people might have a more of a appetite for something that's not so visceral and just a little more athletic. And I think when it comes to like markets and things, I think like the UFC will start to eat up the older sports. I think it'll just kind of like our taste will change as a society, and there'll be a time for parkour where it is like more mainstream and more people are just like appreciative of what it is and what it offers and like how cool it is, what we can do as practitioners and what they could do if they started practicing. And I don't think that time has come yet. Sorry. Just silence that. But all that to say, I don't think parkour's time has come yet where it's like, even though, we had like a really big boom initially with things like Ultimate Parkour Challenge and whatever, I think there'll be a new high watermark that will like destroy the, whatever the awareness of parkour that used to be down the road. And it might be, hopefully we sort it out with the Olympics and stuff, but that might be one of the places where it starts to spark, hopefully, with the right people and the right respect to our heritage. But
yeah, but maybe we've already been there in the peak of popularity.
It's
and
true.
Maybe we always gonna stay underground, like just like a hobby, an activity, like inline or skateboard, but not as, of course, never as influential as skateboard because different things. But
maybe in the future it's like, the mixed martial arts. I think there might be a blending of things again, like down the road, where it's like parkour might just be one discipline like jiu-jitsu that gets integrated into some other thing that is actually really popular, but it's not parkour. Like jiu-jitsu is not like this world phenom thing as much as it's kind of it's more niche and underground like parkour is now. But MMA is like the superstar expression where jiu-jitsu is most relevant, and parkour might end up being something like that down the road, where there's like sort of a hybridization of sports because people are starting to, we see that already in our sport with, the bean guys, for example. And like, there's a lot of cross-pollination already, even within parkour. Like Leila Baca, we mentioned earlier, is in line. I used to skateboard. Kai Willis used to skate. And we see some mixing of that. And so maybe the future extreme athlete or whatever that person is going to have to be like a beast on a mountain bike and a skateboard and and a BMX bike and do parkour and pogo stick. Hopefully not, but like I could see that being like, I could see parkour being a fundamental practice inherent in like some new hybrid sport that has like that superstar or that next level, whatever.
Yeah, but can be the rebranding that I was talking about.
That's the rebranding. But then it wouldn't be parkour. It'd be parkour plus some other shit.
Yeah, but like movement, like Ido movement.
Oh yeah.
If
maybe parkour absorbs all of those.
Yeah, exactly. Parkour absorbs that too, and it has more like a functional training CrossFit type of
Yeah.
market.
We just eat it up. We eat up
Yeah.
CrossFit. We eat up Edo. We eat up gymnastics. We eat up like
I think they have more structure to eat us now. I think they do it already, like Ninja Warrior, for example.
oh
And
man. Yeah. We'll have to David Goliath this one, I guess. I don't know what we're gonna do, but
yeah,
David.
but I feel like this idea of being a bubble, a fundamental in a hybrid connection of many disciplines. I think already what it is.
Mm,
Parkour is already it has already the movement, the Ido style. You have things from capoeira and gymnastics and the free running style. You have climbing elements from climbing. You have athletics things, and it is already broad discipline
mm.
in my opinion. Um, but I think that maybe a rebranding could help a lot, just to make it more accessible, you know,
Yeah.
because
Well, let's get on it.
it can sound quite lame to a few people. Like, what you gonna do? Oh, I'm gonna go and train some parkour.
That is a big problem with us marketing wise. Like my marketing brain now turning on. It's like you can't just say like I have to go do parkour. You have to do it. You have to practice it. You have to train it.
Yeah,
You can't just be like, oh, we're doing this. We're playing. I think most things are
skating. We're
like
not skating,
we're not
for
skating,
example.
but soccer's like that. You play soccer. You don't.
But
You
soccer
don't.
is soccer.
Soccer.
But
Yeah.
like, if you go to the gym, you go training. If you tell anyone like I'm gonna go training, usually is already going to the gym to be fit and like aesthetically or just well-being. Parkour, if you say go training, we can just say moving or jumping around, you know.
Okay. I'll start saying it if you do.
Yeah,
I'll say
yeah,
moving and
yeah.
jumping around. We'll start the rebranding. You know, I'm trained in this. This is my field of study, as we talked about. So I'll get on it. Hopefully, I can come up with some solutions. But
Cool. Yeah, do
ultimately,
please do this. And also, Callum is also very interested in the Fling's idea for a name of the practitioner,
what is it?
and I'm already putting it also in my vocabulary, in my day-to-day life.
What is
I'm using
Flynn's
these on
idea? I haven't
swapping
heard this
shoes.
yet.
It's a parkourist.
Parkourist. Ooh. Okay. What is
It's nice,
what is
isn't
your
it?
opinion on it, or what is Callum's like? Why do you guys like it?
Uh, I don't even know. I like it because it's good.
Okay.
It's
It's got the
accurate.
name right there. It's parkour, and you do it. So it's ist. So
Yeah.
parkourist.
Yeah.
Is it
If you
parkourista?
study
Is it
economy,
masculine,
you're
feminine?
economist.
Is there masculine feminine relationship? Is there parkourista and parkourist? Is it like two?
No,
Or
it's universal, man.
universal,
Because
okay.
we are gender
Neutral.
neutral.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool. I like it.
I think it's a good term. Flynn's idea. Also because parkour people, in my opinion, they're closer to artists than to athletes. So parkour athlete, no, it just doesn't work. I never liked it.
Okay, well, yeah, I'd say your biggest competition right now is free runner. Then, as in terms of like what sounds good, even though it maybe not be the right word.
Yeah, I just don't think that is the right word.
Mm.
Because as the bubble of a hybrid movement sports, free running is a sub
Yeah.
discipline inside of the parkour. It's
Truth.
different, you know.
Truth.
And like people can say, ah, this old talk. Luis is always on this old talk parkour. Free running. Man, it just accept it's nice that we have sub disciplines. It's enriching our sport that we can say, oh, he's more like the old school style of parkour, or he's more like into free running, or he's more like into flowy, techy. You know, it's cool that we have a few labels. So
Yeah.
I don't call free runners who do parkour. I feel bad about saying that Salgado is a free runner. It's just he's not a free runner. He's a parkourist.
Okay. All right. You know what? I got to think on this one. Max was telling me about it. Max Henry, he wanted to talk with us on our last episode, or this episode actually, but he's out of town, so he couldn't really join us. But maybe we'll do another one with him if you're down.
Okay.
And he was talking about, I think maybe he was referencing this because he was talking about climbing has all those sub-disciplines as well. So you can be, a climber is super broad, but you can be like a mountaineer or an alpinist or a boulderer or like a sport climber or a traditional climber, and there's all these little like delineations of it. And so
yeah, also dancers, I use this on talking to Robin, the coach. A dancer is a dancer, right? And a dancer usually has a specialty in one type of dance, like as a b-boy, for example, or jazz dancer, contemporary dancer. But inside of the dancing world, there's all these different possibilities of types of dancing, and it's cool to have different labels, different names. And a dancer doesn't have to stick to only one. He can do different dances according to the job or the situation. It's cool too. It's the same thing with parkour. You don't have to be only a free runner or only the purist. You're a parkourist, and you can practice all these different types of things inside of the bubble of movement. So I like the idea of just like leaving the difference there, understanding the difference. You don't have to pick which one is correct. There's no good or bad, right and wrong. But they're different, and it's good that they're different, that we have all these possibilities.
I agree. I don't know if it's as catchy as we need it to be. I don't know. It's three syllables. It's three syllables right now. I'm just kidding, but like, it could be trouble. Could be trouble having three. You might want to try to knock it down to two.
Parkist.
Yeah.
Courist.
Ooh, there you go. That's what. See, even if it's parkourist, we're gonna shorten it. On the streets, we're gonna shorten to chorist. Yo, I'm that chorist.
Here.
Huh?
PKer.
I thought about that actually in my head. Yeah, it's funny that you said that. I was like PK, but if we like, I'll play with it. We'll play with it.
Peakist. That sounds like a tumor, man.
Yeah, that's trouble. All right. Well, you'll have to tell us in the comments if you guys watch this. What do you think the name should be, and cast your votes and things like that. All right. I should probably let you go. We've been doing this for a couple hours already now, and
nice.
I know that it's pretty late where you are. I got to get some food and things together here. Is there anything you want to talk about before we wrap up and maybe come back for next time?
Yeah, yes, that's what I want to talk about. I'm waiting for the invitation to talk also. You, me, and Max.
Okay.
Would be cool.
Yeah, we'll definitely do
Down
that.
for it. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. Really
My
cool.
pleasure. My honor always, man. Oh, yeah. Episode in the bank. Thanks, Luis, for being on the podcast. If you're listening to this, much appreciate it always, brother. And thank you all for listening, anyone else. And go to hydrop.com if you want to be learning more, supporting the podcast in any way. It's all available there. Got my hats, throw blankets, and t-shirts available to purchase up there. It's always fun to be wearing your own clothes. And given my clothes, I gave my dad one of my shirts. I'm just like, wear my shit. It's fun. Real quick, if anyone noticed, you are a superior awareness person. That I had a little bit of a fever. I had a little bit of a health problem last few weeks, and nothing. Well, who knows? I actually don't know what it was for certain. Suspecting radioactive spider bite. That could be a real thing. We'll see. We'll see if I develop these special abilities. But much apologies to anyone, to Luis, really. If you notice my energy was a little bit low, especially I was dragging at the end. I was like unable to stay focused. But Doesn't matter. We made it through, and you guys made it through, and you're making it all the way to the very end. So much love to you, especially. We'll catch you on the next one. We're coming up on that number 100. Maybe we'll try to do something special. I don't know. It'll be sweet. See you guys later.